Okay, so yeah, welcome, John, to the Zoom room again for Arts of Letting Go live session. So I think let's have a quick look at the lesson for today. You said you wanted to look at a paragraph of that, and then we'll we'll do some text tonight, I think, because we haven't done that for a while. Okay, so I'll just share my screen with you. And okay, so we're on lesson 187. Okay, so share my screen. So this one is I bless the world because I bless myself. Very simple idea. Where is it? Is it
Yeah, it's about halfway through, I think.
okay?
It's about where he talks about starvation.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. Number 6.
Yeah.
You want to read that?
I'm just waiting for the screen to come up.
Oh, does it not come up yet? Okay, interesting.
Saying
Saying it. Yeah.
it says you've started screen sharing.
Yeah. It's telling me I am screen sharing,
Yeah,
but you're not seeing it.
no.
Hmm.
Let
Okay, I'll
me
stop it. I'll stop it and I'll start it again.
okay.
If that works. Your screen sharing, okay? Can you see it now? It says participants can now see your screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Oh,
Yeah, I just wanted to get the book actually.
okay.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I should never forget I give only to myself. Okay, let's do it in the original. Never forget you give but to yourself. Who understands what giving means must laugh at the idea of sacrifice. Nor can he fail to recognize the many forms which sacrifice may take. He laughs as well at pain and loss, at sickness and at grief, at poverty, starvation and at death. He recognizes sacrifice remains the one idea that stands behind them all. And in his gentle laughter are they healed. I think the interesting thing here is the concept that sacrifice is the one idea behind starvation and poverty,
Hmm.
which on
Yeah.
a kind of a in the illusion would seem harsh because starvation happens to millions of people, whether they apparently like it or not. And the same with poverty.
Yeah, but underlying it is the belief in scarcity, sacrifice, as he calls it. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be possible to have these apparent effects like starvation, poverty, lack, loss, pain and loss, sickness and grief, starvation and death. What's behind them all is the idea that I can somehow lose. I can lose my essential nature, my true identity. I can be bereft of love, and then from that disconnection from our source, comes the idea of sacrifice. I now feel abandoned and rejected and scarce and lacking. I'm missing something. And then that gets projected out on a macro level by the mind, and we create a world like this, where these effects of
Yeah.
sickness, grief, pain and loss, poverty, starvation, and death seem to happen. But it's on a, it's. Remember, we're talking now about the ego's whole system. So let's look at it again. We've done that many times, but let's look at it again in this context, in the descent into hell diagram, because we're looking at the whole thought system of the ego here, which has manifested these apparent effects. So individually, we individually in our human selves are not responsible for all of the pain and the suffering and the sickness and the death in the world. How could we be from that perspective, beyond our control? But what he's saying is we chose to be a separate self. And then we, through that idea of separation, we miscreated all of these negative effects. And so on a level, we are responsible. I don't know why this is taking absolute ages. So these effects are on a macro level. They're the systemic effect. Actually, let's look at the integral model as well, because that'll shed some light on it. They are the systemic effect of a disconnection from source, from the idea of sacrifice that is internal. That gets projected out, that becomes individual effects. You feel scarce and lacking, and you suffer pain and loss and starvation and death on an individual level, but it creates systemic effects in society, which is why these things are so entrenched in society. So let's go here. We'll go to the integral model. There you go. Okay. This is the integral model, and we'll develop this, which is a framework to understand how this world really works. So the idea, what he's saying here, if you look at it in integral terms, is that this idea of scarcity lies behind the manifest effects of starvation, lack, loss, sickness, death. What the idea behind it is the idea that I can be disconnected from love, and therefore I feel lacking, and I feel needy, and I feel wanting, and I feel fearful, and all of that gets projected out, and you get individual effects in individual lives, and then you also get the collective effects. So we've created systems, networks, these systems that seem to show us that the idea of scarcity is true. The whole world is based on the scarcity principle. There's not enough resources for everyone to go around. The world of form is a scarce world. And he's saying we need to look at the underlying principle, the thought system behind it all, to understand it, to understand why the world is the way it is. And then you can start to let it go, because you're no longer fooled by the apparent reality of these external effects. You've seen beyond them and corrected your mind, which is the miracle. So is that helpful, John? Just to understand it from
Yeah, yeah, it is actually. It's difficult to connect with in terms of to digest.
yeah.
I'm kind of getting a sense of it.
But it's a thought system, I think. It's a system of thought, and that has these pervasive effects in the external. So you then see systemic effects. The world is the system that is produced by the ego's deluded belief in separation. And
Yeah,
that's why these ideas are so entrenched. So if you look at it from this perspective, if you look at this diagram, the moment of separation is the moment that you create this ego or consciousness that then has to play itself out in the way that we observe in the physical universe. Once you believe in an individual self, you believe you're guilty and you're sinful. For that, you believe in fear, false expectation of punishment appearing real. You're going to try and project your guilt onto others, and onto a fearful, wrathful, vengeful God, and you're going to the projection of guilt creates the accusation, blame, and attack that characterize the whole system. So these systemic effects, which have been going on for millions and millions of years, now seem to be very entrenched. They seem to be the reality. And reality, which you denied through the thought of separation, appears to be nowhere, which isn't really the case, but that's just what it appears to be. So
Yeah.
he's asking us to look at it from the higher perspective. So, okay, so as a thought system of separation, what does separation do? And if I believe in separation, then I am effectively responsible for all of the effects of it.
Yeah.
Logically, that's got to be the case because I decided that I wanted to be separate, and then all the consequences of that decision must be consequences that I brought about, things we've just forgotten. So these lines here are amnesia lines. We just forget what we've done. And as we come further and further down the ladder, we've got more and more layers of amnesia.
Yeah.
So awakening is stripping away those layers and saying, well, we've got to start becoming aware of what's underneath those layers, because that's the only way we're going to climb the ladder back to the top. You've got to journey through these things. It's not comfortable. It's not easy. It can often be downright horrible and extraordinarily challenging, but it's necessary if you're going to undo all this stuff. So you don't just metaphysically ghost over and go, oh well, it's all fine and I'll just go back there, when you've still got deep-seated guilt and sin and fear going on in your mind. You have to resolve those and let them go, and then you can go into pure formless awareness of perfect love, but not before, because you simply aren't ready. So I hope those diagrams, make a bit of sense and give a bit of a perspective on it. But you are responsible for everything that happens in the separation. Once you believe in separation, whatever comes from that, then logically you are responsible, not personally, but at this level of the mind, of the fundamental decision about who you want to be.
Yeah.
You must be responsible then for all the effects of the decision to be a separate self if you decided that. And he's trying to really make us aware of that and say, well, really look at it honestly, and you will see that you are 100% responsible because you decided to separate from your source. And so all of the effects of that separation, which is the whole world and universe of separation, must then also be your responsibility. And that is a big thing to accept. You're like, whoosh, that's huge. But if you can, then you can also let it go and you can free your mind from all of this because you realize I'm not actually responsible for it. Okay, so
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
yeah, does that clarify that a bit?
It does. Yeah. Yeah. It helps me just kind of
Hmm.
start to understand it, I think.
Well, the lessons, we can read the lesson if you want and then go to the text. How much time do you have, I guess, is the question.
Well, how much text is there? I suppose that's the other question, isn't it?
Hmm. There is. I think it's a sort of medium
I
section. Let
think
me
I
check.
think I'd rather just go to the text, actually.
The branching of the road, which is 7 paragraphs.
Okay.
The lesson is 5, 6. The lesson is quite long, 11 paragraphs.
Let's
I'm
just
up for
go.
it, but if you want to just go into the text, we can.
Yeah, let's just go into the text.
Right. Yeah. All right. So you just record this. One's called the branching of the road. Um, Squad selected. Right, so it's called The Branching of the Road, section 4 of chapter 22, 7 paragraphs. Did you find it helpful to read the original and the alternative? Because I can read the original, you read the alternative if you want, or you can just read the
Um,
alternative.
I'd quite like to read the original if you read the alternative, John.
Yeah, okay. Go for
When
it.
you, yeah, when you come to the place where the branch in the road is quite apparent, you cannot go ahead.
When I come to the place where the branch in the road is quite apparent, I cannot go ahead.
You must go either one way or the other.
I must go either one way or the other.
But now, if you go straight ahead, the way you went before you reached the branch, you will go nowhere.
Well, now if I go straight ahead, the way I went before I reached the branch, I will go nowhere.
The whole purpose of coming this far was to decide which branch you will take now.
The whole purpose of coming this far was to decide which branch I will take now.
The way you came no longer matters.
The way I came no longer matters.
It can no longer serve.
It can no longer serve me.
No one who reaches this far can make the wrong decision, although he can delay.
No one who reaches this far can make the wrong decision, although I can delay it.
And there is no part of the journey that seems more hopeless and futile than standing where the road branches and not deciding on which way to go.
There is no part of the journey that seems more hopeless and futile than standing where the road branches and not deciding on which way to go. So then why don't you read it in the alternative from the top?
Yeah. When I go home to the place where the branch in the road is quite apparent, I cannot go ahead. I must go either one way or the other. But now, if I go straight ahead, the way I went before I reached the branch, I will go nowhere. The whole purpose of coming this far was to decide which branch I will take now. The way I came no longer matters. It can no longer serve. No one who reaches this far can make the wrong decision, although I can delay it. And there is no part of the journey that seems more hopeless and futile than standing where the road branches and not deciding on which way to go. So he's saying here that we come to moments in our life where, in fact, the whole of our life is taking us forward to decision points where we can either carry on doing the same we were doing, or we can change and do something different. Listen
Yeah,
to,
make another choice. And the course brings the dichotomy of choice very clearly into our awareness. So you can't follow both roads simultaneously. It's the analogy of a branch in the road. It's quite a good one. Imagine you're walking down a road. I mean, you've hiked, so you'll know. And you hit a fork and they go in opposite directions. So you can't follow both paths. You have to choose one. And imagine now you've got two guides. The one guide's telling you to go the one way, the other guide's telling you to go the other way. There's no possibility of going whichever way you go with both guides, because each guide is determined that that's the right way. So you have to choose your guide wisely and let go of the other guides. So, discard the one to accept the other, which is really what the course is saying. That's the pure non-dual teaching, saying discard the ego, listen to the Holy Spirit, and then you will go in the opposite direction. And so, of course, the ego is not going to like it. And of course, there's going to be conflict with the ego's thought system because you're going in completely the opposite direction to it. And yet, something in us calls us to do that. So, fire the guide, that's leading you down the garden path and saying, well, follow me. Imagine you're on a journey and the one way leads to a town and the guide says, oh, come with me. And, there's lots of entertainment there, wine, women, song, it's going to be a great time. Follow me. And of course, it's a deception because it's not actually what you're supposed to do. It's just leading you astray. And the other one says, quietly, follow me and it might be, a tough journey, but the view where I'm going to take you is the most magnificent place. And along the way, you're going to learn, you're going to grow, and you're going to discover who you are. Till eventually you get to the final destination, which is absolutely magnificent and it transcends this world. It's beauty beyond this world. Now that should be a no-brainer if you state in that terms as to which one you're going to choose, but in practice, it's not. Many people choose the ego because that's seemingly more immediate. They get a quick fix out of it, and they continue to do that for much of their life until often the pain becomes too great, and then they might change. What we're being asked to do here is make the correct decision consciously with awareness, and then we don't have to make the decision through pain. We can make it through a conscious choice, and the Holy Spirit through miracles leads us along this path that we've chosen and confirms that it's the right path. So this could be this is how miraculous living, being in the flow, really works. You make the choice consistently for the Holy Spirit and you let it guide you, and it takes you more and more into that field, we could call it, of flowing energy. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that? I think it's a nice
No, it's a dramatic opening. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so if we want to read the second one.
It is only the first, hang on. It is but the first few steps along the way, along the right way, that seem hard. For you have chosen, although you still may think you can go back and make the other choice.
Okay, shall I read the alternative?
Yep.
It's only the first few steps along the right way that seem hard. For I have chosen, although I still may think I can go back and make the other choice.
This is not so.
Which is not so.
A choice made with the power of heaven to uphold it cannot be undone.
The choice made with the power of pure formless awareness to uphold it cannot be undone.
Your way is decided.
My way is decided.
There will be nothing you will not be told if you acknowledge this.
If I acknowledge this, I'll be told whatever I need to know.
So I'll read the alternative.
Yep.
It is only the first few steps along the right way that seem hard. For I have chosen, although I still may think I can go back and make the other choice. This is not true. A choice made with the power of pure formless awareness to uphold it cannot be undone. My way is decided. If I acknowledge this, I will be told whatever I need to know. So I was saying that the first few steps along the path, along the right path, are the most difficult because we are breaking away from old patterns. And once we've taken those few steps, they cannot be forgotten about because we have journeyed, we have learned something from them.
Yeah,
And
enough of a connection to source to say, okay, I'm set on my way, you know. Think I mean, could you turn around now, having knowing what you know about the course, could you turn around and say, I'm just going to forget it and just live a, you know, unconscious ego life based on a separate self and all of its wants and fears and desires? It's not possible. You couldn't do it because you know too much. So
yeah,
it is really, really essentially what he's saying. And, you know, we come to a point, okay, so we 22 chapters into the text. At this point, he's saying, well, if you've read this far, you're probably far enough into this to realize that, you know, there really is only one way.
yeah,
And, you know, wisdom would teach you to follow that way and let go of the other one. Okay, you still want to read the original and I'll read the alternative? We're
yeah,
gonna...
yeah. I'm happy with that. And so you and your brother stand here in this holy place before the veil of sin that hangs between you and the face of Christ.
And so my companion and I stand here in this innocent place for the veil of sin that hangs between us and the identity of our true self.
Let it be lifted.
I will let it be lifted.
Raise it together with your brother, for it is but a veil that stands between you.
I raise it together with my companion, for it is only a veil that stands between us.
Either you or your brother alone will see it as a solid block, nor realize how thin the drapery that separates you now.
Either I or my companion alone will perceive it as a solid block, nor realize how thin the veil that separates us now really is.
Yet it is almost over in your awareness, and peace has reached you even here for the veil.
Yet it is almost over in my awareness, and peace has reached me even here before the veil has been fully lifted.
Think what will happen after.
I will consider what will happen after it has been.
The love of Christ will light your face and shine from it into a darkened world that needs the light.
The love of my true self will infuse my awareness and shine from it into negative awareness that needs pure formless awareness.
And from this holy place he will return with you, not leaving it nor you.
From this innocent place, it will return with me, not leaving it nor me.
You will become his messenger, returning him unto himself.
I will become its messenger, returning it to itself.
So from the top, and so my companion and I stand here in this innocent place, before the veil of sin that hangs between us and the identity of our true self. I will let it be lifted. I raise it together with my companion, for it is only a veil that stands between us. Either I or my companion alone will perceive it as a solid block, nor realize how thin the veil that separates us now is. Yet it is almost over in my awareness, and peace has reached me, even here before the veil has been fully lifted. I will consider what will happen after it has been lifted. The love of my true self will infuse my awareness and shine from it into negative awareness that needs pure formless awareness. And from this innocent place, it will return with me, not leaving me, not leaving it for me. I will become its messenger, returning to itself.
Okay. Thoughts on that?
I'm just curious about number 4, actually. Either I or my companion alone will perceive it as a solid block,
Hmm.
nor realize how thin. Should it be neither instead of either?
Yeah, I just thought about that. In the original, it is either you or your brother alone will see it as a solid block. Um, I think either does kind of make sense. Either I or my companion alone will perceive it as a solid block. So alone, we perceive it as a solid block. Nor maybe that needs a will we, nor we realize how thin the veil that separates us now really is. If we made it neither I nor my companion alone, does that make sense? Neither I.
I see what you mean about either.
Yeah. Neither, does that make sense? Neither I nor my companion alone
No,
will perceive it as a solid block.
it's the opposite way around if you make it neither.
Yeah, yeah. Neither I nor my companion alone um, will not perceive it as a solid block. But then we got,
It's the
so
word.
I think
It's
leave it
the
at either.
Yeah. I think either. I'm not sure you need alone in there. Either I or
Or
my
my companion.
companion will perceive it as a solid block.
Well, I think that the alone is what he's saying is when we're on our own, alone,
Okay.
we will perceive it as a solid block because we've made ourselves into a separate self,
Yeah.
perceived ourselves as being alone. And in this state, nor will we realize how thin the veil that separates us now really is. So we're still under the illusion that we are separate, even though the veil is actually quite quite thin. The
Yeah.
veil just being a belief in separation. So it's saying beyond that belief and everything that stands for that belief in this world lies this truth, and the veil is actually quite thin. You can, and people, if you have mystic experiences, suddenly they can penetrate through that veil and they can be in oneness, in pure formless awareness. And they go, wow, like I just never knew this even existed. That's what he's talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Just like a penetrating of the veil of separation. And it can happen in a holy instant, like, something triggers it. And suddenly you're in this altered state and you penetrate through the veil. And if you penetrate through the veil even once, then it gives you a completely different perspective on reality. You can never fully go back to your sleep state anymore because you've come into this other awareness. And so you know now that it actually does exist. That even if the ego comes in and tempts you, you never fully go back to sleep again once you've had that kind of
Yeah.
awareness experience.
Actually, I was listening to something on radio for the other day. Actually, he was saying it was a middle-age mystic, and he did a lot of writing. Actually, I can't remember what his name was,
Mhm.
um, but he said he had a 3-second revelation or merging with oneness,
Yeah,
and after that, he was completely transformed, and he never wrote another word.
yeah,
And
yeah,
said, "Yeah, well," he said, "well, words no longer have meaning."
yeah,
And
yeah. No, I've had similar experience. I mean, still use words, but there was, when I had that experience at the Vipassana retreat, it wasn't very long. I don't know how long it was. It was probably longer than 3 seconds, but who knows? I don't know. I don't think it was very long. Maybe a minute or two, maybe five, maybe 10 maximum. There was no sense of time, so I couldn't say. But I knew it wasn't hours because I know there was a session to go to and the bell hadn't rung, so it was a matter of minutes. But it completely transformed my life in so many ways. That glimpse. Oh, okay, I get it now. Experientially, everything I've been studying and learning, it just kind of clicks, and you go, "Oh, I get it." And I understand, finally. And that one moment like that is completely life transforming. You can't ever go back from that. And I think this is what he's talking about. From this innocent place will return with me. So he's pointing us to the mystic experience. And then we become its messenger. So we take it out into the world. I had that experience, and then almost instantly, within a few days, I was teaching the Art of Letting Go course, and it was using me as its messenger to return to itself, to return every mind that I came into interaction with to itself. And that's how it works. These people who have mystic experiences very often become teachers because the spirit inspires them. So, okay, now you're an open channel, and I'm going to use you for the only purpose there is, which is awakening. And that needs to be extended by someone. Someone's got to be the channel, the vessel through which it comes. So that's really what he's talking about here. I'm saying this can happen in a holy instant. The veil is actually quite thin, and sometimes it just needs, it needs a trigger or a catalyst to penetrate through. In my case, it was 9 days of meditation. Other people, they might have it spontaneously, or they might have it in a moment of great danger or great distress. That they suddenly break through into, or in wartime, I read an account of a mystic, and he had this completely spiritual experience in the middle of a battle. Like there's bullets flying around and bodies, and it's the chaos of war. And he just, in a moment, he said, I kind of just went above the battleground, literally, as Yeshe puts it in the text, and I just saw it all. That none of this was really real. It was just a dream, and there was really nothing to be frightened of, because all the bodies suffering and dying didn't really mean anything. And that he had that on the battlefield in the middle of a hectic battle. So it can happen at any point. You just don't know when, which is why we keep practicing and being open. The 10th characteristic of God's teachers is open-mindedness. So you're open to these kinds of experiences happening. Yeah, all right. You happy to go on, John? So number 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You want to read the original? I'll read the alternative. If you want to do it that way, or we can switch it if you want.
No, I'm quite happy. Think of the loveliness that you will see who walk with him.
I think of the loveliness that I who walk with it will see.
And think how beautiful will you and your brother look to the other.
And I think how beautiful I and my companions will look to each other.
How happy you will be to be together after such a long and lonely journey where you walked alone.
How happy we'll be together after such a long and lonely journey where we seemingly walked alone.
The gates of heaven open now for you. Will you now open to the sorrowful?
So I will now open the gates to the state of pure formless awareness that are open for me now to the sorrowful. That makes sense? It's just
I will now open the
The
gates.
gates of heaven open now for you. Will you now open to the sorrowful? Yeah, okay. So I will now open the gates to the state of pure formless awareness, uh, which are, I think that needs a comma, really. Comma, which are now open. Are now open to me. To the sorrowful. Maybe that makes the commas make a bit more sense. So I'm opening up the state. I'm becoming an example that can help other people to find the state of pure formless awareness. Because if I can find it, why can't they? As Jesus said, you'll do these things that I've done and even greater things. Because he's
Yeah.
nothing special. It's all possible for everyone, and that's truly humble. Not something the church has really punted, because
Yeah.
it essentially says, "Well, we're all the Christ.
Yeah.
We all have the same power as Yeshua," but they put him on a pedestal, pedestalized him, as Alan Watts put it, and worship him as some kind of demigod. So he's now above, the average human being. He's the special son of God. But that's not what he said. The scripture doesn't support that, does it? He didn't say he was the special son of God. He said, "You will do these things that I've done and even greater things." So, and that's in there in the Gospel of John.
Yeah.
So, but they just overlook that. I mean, that actually contradicts the whole teaching of Jesus as the special Son of God who somehow is more special and different from everyone else, because he didn't say that. He never claimed to be. That was just misinterpretation by others.
Number 5, and none who looks upon the Christ in you, but will rejoice.
Yeah, we're at number 5, are we? And everyone who perceives my true self will only rejoice.
How beautiful the sight you saw beyond the veil, which you will bring to light the tired eyes of those as weary now as once you were.
And everyone who perceives my true self will only rejoice. How beautiful the sight I saw beyond the veil, which I will bring to light the tired eyes of those as weary now as I once was.
How thankful will they be to see you come among them, offering Christ's forgiveness to dispel their faith in sin.
How thankful will they be to see me come among them, showing them the way to let go, to dispel their faith in sin. Okay, and then from the top, in
I
the alternative.
think of the I think of the loveliness that I who walk with it will see. And I think how beautiful I and my companions will look to each other. How happy we will be to be together after such a long and lonely journey where we seemingly walked alone. I will now open the gates to the state of pure formless awareness, which are now open to me, to the sorrowful. And everyone who perceives my true self will only rejoice. How beautiful the sight I saw beyond the veil, which I will bring to light the tired eyes of those as weary now as I once was. How thankful will they be to see me come among them, showing them the way to let go, to dispel their faith in sin.
Okay, thoughts on that?
So is describing to us the beauty that we will see when we unite with spirit and let go of the ego. and move beyond our separateness into or back to oneness.
Hmm. Let me make that to relieve light, to relieve the tired eyes. He's really doing a sales job here on the Holy Spirit
Yeah.
and reality.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
another way of looking at the course. You know, he's got to sell this alternate reality to us when we pretty fixated on this reality, and he's got to convince us that this other reality which we can't see, it's not tangible, is more real than what we can see. It's quite a task when you really think about it. So he's got to use words very skillfully, and he's got to give us an incentive and say, well, when you go here, all of your tiredness, the pain, the suffering, the weariness, which we all know about in this world, just drops away, and you can find joy and peace and rejuvenation. There's no doubt this gives you it gives you a power and an energy that you don't have, you wouldn't have otherwise, because you're working on a higher source of energy. It's not the ego's energy. And I've certainly seen that in my own life. I mean, I can do things and go without sleep for periods of time that most people wouldn't cope with, because I'm working on a different frequency. It's a different energy. It gives you the inspiration and the power to do these things, like a higher octane fuel. And so he's got to sell this to us and say, follow my guidance, and this is what lies in store, and it's worth the discipline, the apparent, sacrifice. The ego tells you it's sacrifice, but it's just a self-discipline. It's worth that discipline because the rewards are so great. But obviously, we don't know those rewards until we experience them for ourselves. So he's got to describe them to us and sell them to us, which is what he's doing in this paragraph, and indeed in the whole course. He's selling it to us using a carrot and stick approach. There's the carrot that's, this is going to be amazing, wonderful, and then there's a stick which says, and this is the disaster of the ego. And it's, really some of the passages he uses to describe the ego are very graphic for that reason. You say, well, you don't want this. This is horrific. Compared with the spirit, which then he, paints this beautiful picture of, very skillfully using words. Okay. Any other thoughts on number 4? Can we move on, John?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. Number 5, every mistake.
Every mistake you and your brother make, the other will gently have corrected.
Every mistake I or my companion make, the other will gently correct.
For in his sight your loveliness is his salvation, which he would protect from harm.
For in my companion's true perception, my loveliness is their awakening, which they will protect from harm.
And you will be your brother's strong protector from everything that seems to rise between you both.
And I will be my companion's strong protector from everything that seems to rise between us.
So shall I walk the world with Jeshua, whose message has not yet been given to everyone.
Yeah, you
Oh,
just
sorry,
switched
I
to
just read the alternative.
but that's okay if you want to do that.
Yeah. So shall you walk the world with me, whose message has not yet been given everyone.
Yeah, so shall I walk the world with Yeshua, whose message has not yet been given to everyone.
For you are here to let it be received.
For I am here to let it be received.
God's offer still is open, yet it waits acceptance.
Perfect love's offer is still open, yet it still awaits acceptance by everyone.
From you who have accepted it, is it received?
It is received from me who have accepted it.
Into your hand, joined with your brothers, is it safely given? For you who share it have become its willing guardian and protector.
It is safely given into my hand, joined with my companions. For I who share it have become its willing guardian and protector. And from the top, an alternative.
Every mistake I or my companion make, the other will gently correct. For in my companion's true perception, my loveliness is their awakening, which they will protect from harm. And I will be my companion's strong protector from everything that seems to rise between us. So shall I walk the world with Yeshua, whose message has not yet been given to everyone. For I am here to let it be received. Perfect love's offer is still open, yet it still awaits acceptance by everyone. It is received from me who have accepted it. It is safely given into my hand. Join with my companions, for I who share it have become its willing guardian and protector.
Okay, thoughts on that? What's he saying there?
Well, it's continuing the sales job in terms of we will be rewarded by seeing beauty in all our companions. And as we continue, others will see the light in us and respond to it.
Will be my companion, strong protector. It's quite a nice idea from
Yeah.
everything that seems to rise between us. So everything that seems to block, our union. The idea is you become the protector from it. You say, no, let's not fall for the trick of the ego that's trying to convince us we're separate. So I will protect you from that as you will protect me from it by forgiveness, by letting go of those blocks as they arise, restoring our mind to oneness. So we've got each other's backs, essentially, in a completely different way from, what the ego would, and how the ego would interpret that. So when whoever's saner, he says at some point, whoever's saner, let that person be the guide in the relationship at that point. It's the same idea. And, if someone is losing the plot and they're going to separation, you don't condemn them. You just say, well, I want to protect you from this because you're making a mistake. So my job is to remind you of the truth and help you let go of this block that's arising so that we can again restore our minds to oneness. And that's unconditional love. The person's just making a mistake. Instead of condemning them, you try and bring them back to unity. And that's the protection he's talking about. Okay. Okay with that, John? Should we go on to number 6?
Yep. To all who share the love of God, the grace is given to the givers of what they have received.
The grace of perfect loving awareness is given to all who share what they have received.
And so they learn that it is theirs forever.
And so they learn that it is theirs forever.
All barriers disappear before their coming, as every obstacle was finally surmounted that seemed to rise and block their way before.
All barriers disappear before their coming as every obstacle was finally surmounted that seemed to rise and block their way before. But should that be instead of was, is? All barriers disappear before their coming as every obstacle is finally surmounted.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that seemed to rise and block their way before.
Yeah. This veil you and your brother lift together opens the way to truth to more than you.
This veil that I and my brother lift together opens the way to truth, to more than just me.
Those who would let illusions be lifted from their minds are this world's saviours, walking the world with their Redeemer and carrying his message of hope and freedom and release from suffering to everyone who needs a miracle to save.
Those who would let illusions, those who maybe, those who want to let illusions be lifted from their minds are this world's awakeners, walking the world with their awakener and carrying its message of hope, freedom, and release from all suffering to everyone who needs a correction to free them. And from the top in the alternative,
The grace of perfect loving awareness is given to all who share what they have received, and so they learn that it is theirs forever. All barriers disappear before their coming, as every obstacle is finally surmounted that seemed to rise and block their way before. This veil that I and my brother lift together opens the way to truth to more than just me. Those who want to let illusions be lifted from their minds are this world's awakeners, walking the world with their awakener and carrying its message of hope. Freedom and release from all suffering to everyone who needs a correction to freedom.
okay,
So he's saying that as we walk forward in truth with our companions, all obstacles will be overcome and all obstacles will melt away, really. And our connection with our brother will be much enhanced
hmm.
and deepened and made more beautiful.
Yeah, we start living in the domain of the miraculous and unconditional love.
Mm.
We're no longer judging people and condemning them. We see everyone's just trapped here. Truth is, everyone is trapped. Everyone's in prison. Everyone's a slave to the illusion. They might be behaving in unkind, unconscious, aggressing, attacking ways, but they're doing that because they feel trapped. And that's the best that they know how to do at that point in time. Um, it's a very helpful perspective, to see that. Immediately forgiveness starts coming in. You're going, well, I can't condemn them because they're just really doing the best they can. They're lost in the dream, and we know how difficult it can be to unwind yourself from that dream. It's not an easy task at all. So who are you to condemn anyone for being enslaved in the dream when you too have been enslaved in the dream and probably still are in many ways? This is compassion coming, or empathy, as the Course would call it. Empathy that understands the human predicament, the human condition, but without sympathizing with it. Going, oh, poor you, oh, shame, because that's the victim identity. It's just looking at honestly, seeing the human dilemma and understanding there's only one way out of that, and that's to let go of your very core humanity, your self-concept, which you think is real. That's the way out. Okay. Any other thoughts on that one?
No, it's very beautiful.
Hmm.
How easy is it to offer this miracle to everyone?
How easy it is, probably should be. How easy it is to offer this correction to everyone.
No one who has received it for himself would find it difficult.
No one who has received it for themselves could find it difficult.
For by receiving it, he learned. For by receiving it, he learned it was not given him alone.
By receiving it, I learned it was not given to me alone.
Such is the function of a holy relationship, to receive together and give as you received.
The function of an innocent relationship is to receive together and give as we received.
Standing before the veil, it seems difficult.
It still seems difficult as we stand before the foundation. Maybe. Or the foundation 5. He's changing.
Yeah,
As we stand before the veil.
yeah.
Ultimate foundation, yeah. Still seems difficult as we stand before the veil, which is the veil of illusion. Let's say veil. And so that's just a thin wall of false beliefs. And then what can often happen, either because you're doing spiritual practices, like I was doing lots of meditation at that point, or there's just enough pain. Enough pain cracks that veil, cracks the shell of the ego open to reveal what lay beyond it, which happens quite, quite rarely, but it does happen. So Eckhart Tolle is a good example, Byron Katie. Guys really goes through a lot of pain, mental and emotional suffering and anguish to finally break through that and break through the veil of illusion to the other side. It's almost like the severity of the pain cracked open the shell of the ego and allowed them to just live in a much more functional way. Okay. Number 6.
But hold out your hand, joined with your brothers, and touch this heavy seeming block, and you will learn how easily your fingers slip through its nothing.
But if I hold out my hand, joined with my companions, and touch the seemingly heavy block, I will learn how easily my fingers slip through its nothingness.
It is no solid wall,
It is no solid wall,
and only an illusion stands between you and your brother and the holy self you share together.
and only an illusion stands between me, my companions, and the innocent self we share together. And on the top, in the alternative,
How easy it is to offer this correction to everyone. No one who has received it for themselves could find it difficult. For by receiving it, I learned it was not given to me alone. The function of an innocent relationship is to receive together and give as we receive. It still seems difficult as we stand before the veil of illusion. But if I hold out my hand, joined with my companions, then touch this seemingly heavy block, I will learn how easily my fingers slip through its nothing. It is no solid wall, and only an illusion stands between me, my companions, and the innocent self we share.
hmm, yeah, thoughts on that?
Well, it's just drawing a beautiful picture of what it's like to be joined in truth and lift the veil of illusion.
Hmm. This is no solid wall. So it may seem to be very solid, but we do realize the more we do this work that it's just a belief. What you're talking about is beliefs, ideas, beliefs, feelings, thoughts, emotions. How real is any of that? It was just a belief. It seems to be triggered by something in this world. And so then it seems to have more of a reality than it does because of the trigger. But actually, it's just a thought. It's no solid wall. Only an illusion still lies between you and your brother. Okay, so any other thoughts on that? Should we just do the summary, which is fairly short.
Yeah.
Personalized summary. I read that.
I have reached a fork in the road on my journey where I must make a decision on which way to take. Though the first steps may seem hard, I realize that the right choice, supported by the state of pure formless awareness, is irreversible. My companions and I stand together before the veil, separating us from our true self, yearning for peace and pure formless awareness. We lift this veil, moving toward love and our joint mission to spread pure formless awareness of perfect love. I can experience the joy of walking together after a lonely journey and the beauty we'll see as we open the gates to the state of pure formless awareness.
So just pause it there and reflect on that. What's he saying? Quite beautiful, actually. It's definitely worth just
Very beautiful.
contemplating these images. I think that's also what sets the course apart is the imagery. It's poetry. He's writing prose, but it's very poetic, and it certainly activates this higher self, the sense of something deeper and more aware and transcendent. The language has to support that, and that's why he uses the language he does, and Shakespeare and iambic pentameter and so on, because it supports that this message will get out there and will get used.
Yes, so it's painting a picture of the beauty of connection with our brothers and the lightheartedness, the beauty that will emerge as we unite with our companions and spirit.
Hmm. And although we haven't experienced that necessarily reading it, obviously he doesn't know exactly what the reader is experiencing, but he's treating us as though we haven't had that mystic experience. He's inspiring us, motivating us to carry on the journey so that we give ourselves every opportunity to have it, and the beauty that comes with it. So what he's describing here is what Maslow would call a peak experience. The joy of walking together with each other um, after a lonely journey, and the beauty we'll see as we open the gates to the state of pure formless awareness. We call that a peak experience if you had one. And one of those experiences, if it's really felt deeply, takes you back home, takes you back to God and Source, and so that's enough. You often don't need more to awaken. It's a catalyst for your awakening. Okay, and notice the theme again. He's bringing in people in all of these middle lessons when chapter 22. So there's still a couple more paragraphs between about chapter 25 and chapter 24 and chapter 15. There's a definite emphasis on the holy relationship and on how to accomplish that. Okay, carry on. John?
Yeah, sorry. My companions and I stand together before the veil separating us from our true self, yearning for peace and pure formless awareness. We lift the veil, moving towards love and our joint mission to spread pure formless awareness of perfect love. I can experience the joy of walking together with each other after a lonely journey and the beauty we'll see as we open the gates to the state of pure formless. We'll offer our willingness to let go through our true self to others. And I will be a protector and messenger of perfect love. My companion and I will be guardians, working to share love and grace, letting go of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence and leading others to truth. We'll be part of the world's awakening, carrying a message of hope, freedom, and release from all suffering. Yes,
Any thoughts on that?
very beautiful. Well, it's painting a very beautiful picture of how unity with our companions will be a benefit to everybody.
I mean, selling us on the benefits of unconditional love, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just do this. All right. For some reason it's got a bit separated. It's probably because it's attached to the other one. So I'm just gonna whack that in there. Okay, so then last paragraph. You can read that.
Offering this correction to others will become easy when I've learned that it's not just for me. I'll join with my companion to transcend the illusion that stands between us, realizing that it is okay, that it is nothing, and accepting the innocent self we share together.
Really just encouraging us to go on the journey and emphasizing the connection with others. I think he does that a lot in these middle chapters. You know, it's the source, and then he brings in other people and says, you know, this is what it'll do to your relationships. And because of that, you'll feel, you know, so much more connected and happier because your close relationships will be transformed. Okay. And then just the key message to wrap it up.
I have come to a fork in the road and chosen to go home to the state of pure formless awareness along with my companions. Together we journey home by letting go of illusions that separate us from our true self and sharing the message of freedom through perfect loving awareness with others.
Yeah. So thoughts on that? So overall,
Very, very succinct couple of sentences, isn't it? Really?
yeah, I think that's you know, the idea of the key message is you can just read that and go, okay, there's the essence without all the, you know, the flowery bits and the, you know, digging deeper into some concepts. There's really the essence of what this teaching is saying. And if I can digest that and start learning the thought system through these little messages, then great. But yeah, when people are ready, then they can go for the whole thing, for you know, sort of deeper um the you know all of the text and really dive into it. Okay, so any thoughts, comments, questions, John, on any of that?
No, uh,
Hmm.
very beautiful, simple. It's not like some of the other chapters that are kind of have to
Yeah,
be dissected and
yeah, yeah,
wrestled with. I mean, there's no wrestling matches in this one.
yeah, yeah. It is pretty simple, straightforward. He's really selling us on the benefits of unconditional love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's saying, you know, just go with me and make the only, you know, sane choice. The Holy Spirit is not a sane choice. Never will be. And so choose the alternative, the state of pure formless awareness over that, and it will guide you. You can have these enriching experiences with people. And I shared my experience yesterday for the last few days of traveling and now I'm in South Africa. And it's the holy encounters. I've been thinking, so I'm doing a whole lot of business meetings, and yes, there's, apparently on the level of form a reason to go and drive 20 minutes or half an hour to see someone. You have to sort of have a reason to do it in this world. But really, if you look beyond that, every interaction, every encounter is a holy one, and
Yeah,
that's the benefit of it. So although awakening and transcending time and space seem to be so distant, you can experience this connection with your brothers, your companions, right here and right now in daily life, and your life becomes enriched by those, and it becomes a meaningful encounter with the truth. Whereas if you don't connect with them, you feel kind of disconnected and separate and alone. And so whatever the context is, I'm doing business meetings. Really, the truth behind it is that this is just an opportunity to connect in source, and this offers you the opportunity to do that. Okay, so yeah, very beautiful, and just always reminding us that it's not just loving God, this abstract awareness. It's actually how you apply it in practice to your relationships that makes a difference.
very,
Okay.
very good, John.
Yeah. So you're happy with that? You want to do a little meditation to close it out, or?
No, I'm good to leave it there, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So nice to do a bit of the text. That was a good little session. I'm also fading out of it. It's been a long week, so shall we call it there? And
Yeah,
we'll
yeah, it's good.
reconvene. I'm going to do a session Sunday afternoon. So if you want to join Sunday at say yeah, say 1 o'clock your time.
Yeah, I will be out Sunday afternoon, actually. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, and then you're away. You're going away next week, yeah, for your
Yeah.
anniversary.
Yeah, we're going to be away.
You won't join any live calls.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay, well, enjoy. I won't see you for a bit, so
Yeah.
enjoy the time away, and so I guess cherish the experience with Sue and whoever else you meet. It's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. It will
And I'll
be.
see you on the other side of it. Tuesday, I think the 3rd. I've put it in the
Yeah.
diary.
Yeah.
You know,
Good for that. Good for that, John. Yeah.
reminded about that. Okay, thanks, John.
Okay, John. Thank you very much.
All right, namaste. Have a nice weekend.
Namaste.
Bye for now. Okay, so that is a wrap for today. Tonight's session. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, a couple of things you can do to take another step forward in your one-man process. You could subscribe to the channel to be notified whenever I go live, which is 4 or 5 times a week. So just hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. You can also go to lifebuild.com. You can see the spelling of lifebuild in the background of the video. Just stick a .com onto there, and you'll be able to sign up from that to my Telegram group, to which I send out a daily inspirational quote, some comments on that, the workbook lesson from A Course in Miracles for the day, which is related to the theme of the quote, and many meditations and breath breaks to help you to practice the quote and the lesson particularly. So yeah, just head over to lifebuild.com if that inspires you to take the next step, or hit the subscribe button, or do both. And you'll also be notified when I in the Telegram messages of when I'm going live. So if you want to join these sessions in future, you'll be notified well in advance. 10 in the morning of any session, as to what time the session is happening. Okay, so thanks again for watching or listening, and I hope to connect with you on the inside soon. Namaste, which means the truth in me acknowledges and honors that same loving truth in you. So much love, peace, and joy in that truth. So we meet again. Bye for now.